Hello, thank you for joining me. This is the reference photo that I will be sketching from, and I will be using a pen on watercolor paper, and I'll finish it off with some watercolor paint. So I'm playing this video in real time. I have not sped it up, and I'm going to try and not twist the paper all over the place. I'm just going to try to keep the paper straight so you don't get dizzy. And I'm starting off with a Micron 0.1 ink pen, and I had somebody leave me a comment that these are her favorite pens. So I was waiting for a couple of mine to run out of ink, which they seem to run out pretty fast, but I do sketch a ton. And I ran out today and bought 2 sets of these pens. They had buy one, get one 50% off. So I've got all different sizes, so I was really excited. And so far I really loved, I love the feel of I like the real fine point pens to sketch with. And then finish off with some heavier, less fine tip pens to do in some last minute details. But I started this sketch in the center with the window, and then I'm just going to work my way around. And these pens seem to dry nice and fast, so I'm always worried about running my hand through it if it's wet and then smudging it, but this seemed to work really well. And I'm looking to see where that roof peak lands, and I put a little dot there. It is just to the right of that awning, and that's a little off, but that's okay. And then I'm looking to see where the edge of the building comes down. And I've got the other side. And I've got the cute little bench, bright yellow little bench with the pillow on there. So I'm just looking to see where that arm or the back of the backrest of that stops. And I kind of just put parts of things in. Like I didn't go all the way down on the walls on the sides because I wasn't quite sure, or the door. I didn't finish the door off because as I go back to things. I go back and forth. Putting in that little pillow. It's a really cute chair. And then I'm gonna put in there's like little diamond shapes. And I'm not being precise. I'm just winging it. And then I'm looking at that chair Oh, got to finish that little detail part there. And then I'm going to look at that chair and see where the bottom of the door lands to the side of that chair. And the bottom of the building. A little step down, little brick step. And then there's the foundation, the little yellow base to the building. And then I could finish off the bottom of those legs of that little bench. I'm going to put in the gutters and the downspouts, or one downspout for now. Then we're going to go to the other side, and that roof is off. So it's one of those things that once something's off, then other things are off. But it's not supposed to be perfect. We'll just say it's giving it character. And I'm trying not to spin the page like I mentioned, so it's hard. That downspout is really bad. But I think I'll get much better at sketching by keeping it that way. I'll get trained to sketch better. And the funny thing, how I came to sketching this year was somebody turned me on to urban sketching, and I looked up a lot of urban sketchers, and I loved their work. Some is really loose, some is kind of wonky, the buildings are misshaped, so I'm kind of just starting off with following what I see, but I hope to develop a style that's maybe not so matchy to the image, where I can develop my own style. But I practice every day, and I'm getting faster. I'm seeing things differently, so it's amazing. It's just going to be so much fun to look back and see my progress, hopefully. And hopefully I'll develop a really cool style as I go. I like what I'm doing now. I mean, I really love the colors, and I love the ink and watercolor. It's beautiful together. But when I look at some other artists that are really loose, or the buildings are kind of disshaped, disconnected, I also like that too. But I feel very confident, and I absolutely love sketching. It brings me so much joy. So there was that big silver box there. I'm not quite sure what that is. And then there was an electrical box next to that with the wires coming out. I enjoy doing stuff like that. Those little details. And then there's I think an air conditioning unit. I guess that's probably the vent. That's probably the vent to the air conditioning unit. So that's the air conditioning unit behind that little fence. So that fence is just kind of there as decoration to hide all that behind it. So that must be, that silver thing must be the vent that pumps the air into the house or the little cottage. Oh, I forgot to tell you. By the way, this is, let me look it up real quick. I had it. This is a little cottage you can rent in Anna Maria, Florida, which is a little peninsula island just north, so it's on the west coast, just a little north of Sarasota. And you can rent this little cottage, and it's just 1 block from the Gulf. So you're right a block from the beach. And it's called the Sun Cottage. I've never been to Anna Maria, but I've had friends that had stayed there, and they said it was so beautiful. And I think this little area has a bunch of cottages to choose from, and they're very cute inside. If you go to the Sun Cottage website in Anna Maria, you can look at the interiors of them. Really cute. So I'm gonna put there's another little fence on the other side. And when I do my sketching, I don't go all the way to the end of the paper. I just keep everything kind of in the center and just stop at a certain point. I kind of crop my photos to the way I want them, and then just use the center of the paper. So I'm going to put some trees in the background and on the side there. And I'll put some on this side, and there's a couple branches that are kind of overhanging in front of the roof. My friends make fun of me because I don't pronounce things very well. I say room, and people think I'm saying rum. I think it's a Chicago thing. And I put the siding in. A lot of times I'll put the siding in after I paint and then use a marker for the siding, but today I decided to use the pen for something a little different. I don't know if I said this or not, but I did pick this image because of that little fish address sign was so cute, and the black and white awning. Whenever I see those, I'm ready to get sketching. The colors in this is so pretty. So just a few more details. I like to double line windows and doors. And then I'm going to get the pencil and do the lines for the awning, the stripes with the pencil. And then I'll just follow that with the stripes. With the paint, I mean. And I didn't like that. It's too many stripes. I don't count them. I just kind of wing it. Sometimes they're too fat. Sometimes they're too many. Sometimes they're too skinny. So that's why I just feel a little bit better just doing a little bit of pencil work before I go in and commit. And we're good to go. So I got my Artist Loft palette and a little cup of water. Get a little paper towel, and I'm not going to need any big brushes. I think the biggest I have is a size 6 round brush. I've got a flat brush and a small little detail brush. I'm filming this out, or I'm not filming this, I'm narrating this outside, and I don't like to narrate as I sketch or paint because I'm kind of trying to concentrate, and I just never know what kind of noise is going to happen. I've got a couple dogs and a husband, so he's sometimes on calls or just comes in and starts asking me questions. So I like to narrate after, and I'm doing it outside so you can hear the birds. And there happens to be a little young lady in a pool about 3 houses down, and you can hear her having fun in the pool. And I live on a canal, so noise carries on water like crazy. I can hear what everybody's talking about. And this little girl is having the time of her life. So I wet the paper down, and I mixed up a little bit of my phthalo light green with some cadmium yellow light for my first shade of green. I'll let that dry. I'm going to put in the yellow side of that building. I just picked up a little bit of that cadmium yellow light and just put a lot of water to it, really diluted it to make it a little bit lighter. And there is a lot of shading in there. I'll come back and I'll get that a little bit darker later. But for now, I'm just going to get in all the colors. And I've got a Cobalt Blue. I added a little bit of Payne's Gray because it's a little bit darker on that peak. And there was some shadowing from the awning, and I tried to get that in. It wasn't great, and I just let it be. So I thought I'll just go down to where the dark part is. I'll stop there, and then I'll make that other part lighter. But it all look the same. You'll see when I get to it. But it's okay. It looks dark, but I mean, it'll lighten up a little bit. Those colors look pretty together, that green and that blue. That's the best thing about being, one of the best things about being an artist is color. If you, it's just so beautiful. And I'm when I'm out in nature, I'm always looking at things. So here I'm trying to put in that lighter shade of, but I didn't get it light enough. I should have probably added a little bit of white to the cobalt. It looks exactly the same, except blotchy now. But anyways, when I'm out in nature and I'm always looking at things and I'm always trying to figure out in my head how to get that shade of blue, what would I mix? It's funny as an artist what you think of, how you would sketch that, or you're looking at an angle, or what color is that? And I bet non-artists are just, they've got a, if they were in our brain, they would laugh. And you wonder what non-artists think of. I'm making that window a little bit darker. I'm using Payne's Gray. So I did a lighter Payne's Gray in the main window, and then the door window I went a little bit darker. I think I'm going to darken the other windows a little bit too, I think. But I remember one time I was on vacation with a friend, excuse me, in Hawaii. I was lucky enough to be able to go to Hawaii, and I pointed out we were sitting on the beach looking at the same scene every day, and I pointed out these, like those windmills that are for energy, and she never noticed them. Or I would point out a flower and she never noticed the flower that was always there all week. And it cracked me up because I'm like, what are you looking at? what do you what do you see? What the heck are you looking at all week long? I notice everything. I don't know. But then there's probably things that other people who are, have major high intelligence, that they look at things differently, maybe with numbers. So, oh my God. But non-artists crack me up because I don't know what they're looking at. So I'm gonna try and do the door darker on the top and lighter on the bottom, and do that shadowing. And then I said, forget it. So that didn't work. That looks the same too. So in previous videos, I've gone in with an alcohol-based marker, and I will put my shadowing in with that. And then when I put the paint over it, the paint's so beautifully translucent that you could still see the marker underneath, and that's my shadowing. And I didn't do that this time because it just looked like a lot of shadowing, and I just wanted to keep it a little bit lighter, and I thought maybe I could try to do the shadowing with the paint, but as you could see, that didn't work out. But it's okay. So I got out the little tiny brush for this bench, and I'm trying to blend in that line now. I could have probably pulled the paint out with a wet brush for the highlighted areas. I didn't think about that. But, that's the beauty of practicing. We're always learning. Payne's gray for that box and the shadow on the side. Have you ever seen Ian Let me look up his name. Fenley, I think. Fenley. Ian Fenley. He's a urban sketch artist, and his buildings are like the ones I was telling you about, where they're really distorted. They like start out skinny at the bottom and get bigger at the top, or vice versa. And he is in the UK, and his work is just amazing. Oh, it's just beautiful what he does with watercolor. And so he's one of the urban artists that got me started. I brought him up because I'm looking at that big metal electric box vent thing in the back. Not electric box, the vent in the back, and it gets a little bit wider at the top, and reminded me of his work, even though his is way more exaggerated. But you should look him up. Oh my God, if you don't know him, his stuff is just gorgeous. I did a little mini online workshop with him where you kind of sketch along, and it turned out good. It was fun. The UK is so different than Florida, so I have a little bit different buildings than the UK. So I'm always looking up cottages, and I'm using a little of the Payne's gray, not as diluted for the awning stripes, and a flat brush. So I always do Florida themed. I'm always looking at cottages and bars, restaurants, anything that is Florida related. And something popped in my head today. I should see if there's like a really cool haunted building. See if there's anything. I was trying to think of different things to look up. Like the oldest building. I did a sketch of the oldest art gallery, which is in Palm Beach, and I did the oldest restaurant in Key West, and then I give you a little history of it and where it's located. But yeah, look up Ian Fenley, Fenne. Let me see, Fennelly. Ian, so talented, and he's fun to do a workshop from. His YouTubes are fun. Pop in the little, in between those holes in the chair, little diamond shapes, pop in that Cobalt Blue. As I said earlier, I'm narrating this outside, and it's dusk, and the birds are now starting to come alive. Sounds like a lot of hawks, or not hawks, crows. We have a bird that comes around and during the spring mating season, and it's called a limpkin, and it screeches so loud, in the middle of the night. It only does it in the middle of the night. It's hilarious. So in my guest bedroom, I have earplugs if we have visitors. So I guess I didn't make those windows darker. Maybe I will later. I'm not sure if I did or not. But just putting in there's like the shades inside, and I'm just putting in a little hint of those with the 0.1. And I'll darken that yellow area a little bit. Added just a tiny speck of Payne's gray to my yellow. And then there's some shadowing from those trees. I'm just using the side of my brush. It's a lot darker in the image. And mine's a little subtle, but that's okay. There's that little sign, I don't even know what it said, so I just, not that I would put in what it said because it's so small, but I just kind of put some black detail around and left some white in there so it looks like some writing. And I'm putting in some little gravel, just little tiny circles. I got that from Ian. Ian taught me that one. And just some little specks. And if you've watched videos of mine before, I want to say thank you for watching. If you've commented or you're following me, I really appreciate you. It's been fun doing these. I'm enjoying it. And it'll be fun to look back at my progress and in the future to see how I progress. It's kind of why I'm doing this channel. So popping in, and I spun, I had to, I guess. I said I wasn't going to, but I turned the paper. I didn't want to get it all over the roof, but I'm using some sap green and just putting in some darker shade of green into the plants. And just a little dots here and there. Give it some interest. I'm not doing any splatters on this because it's a little busy already, so I just decided not to do any splatters. We've got the gravel and the little tiny leaves I just put in. A little shadowing on the top of that awning and the bottom. Makes a big difference. Love that. And there's I could hear some thunder in the distance. There's a storm rolling in. I don't know if you're familiar with Florida storms, but we're the lightning capital. And the lightning down here it's scary. And the thunder. There could be a thunder that will last like a minute. It'll just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. I've never been in such storms before. It's crazy. So I'm going to put in the address on that fish. I've got the 0.5 micron, and I'm just going to outline. I like to outline the windows and doors, edges of the building, just to make things pop. Because everything's kind of looking monotone and kind of blending, so. And I'm going to put in the detail of the window. It'd be really cool if the storm gets a little closer so you can hear it. It's pretty far out in the distance, but I don't think the recorder will pick it up, or the microphone will pick it up. But it's rumbling out there. It's happening in south of me, so South Florida. I'm South Florida, but it's probably over Naples, Florida right now. So outlining the roof, where it meets the building, and the edges. Because a lot of times the paint will fade your lines out a little bit, cover them up, and you'll lose those crisp lines from the original ink. And so it's nice to go over it with a bolder ink and pick back up those details. And I'm going to put Anna Maria Island. And sign it. I do KSJ. My middle name is Sue, Karen Sue Johnson. So here is my finished sketch, and it looks really cute. I think it turned out nice. I like I said originally, I think that door is a little too wide. I'm going to focus on that in the future and work on my shading. Did you hear that? I don't know if you could hear. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up. Thunder. It's so cool. But yeah, so I want to thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know if you like the real time or if it's too long and I should speed it up and go back to narrating over a faster sketch. But I enjoyed chatting, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hope you find time to sketch. And if you have any comments, feel free to leave me a comment or any suggestions, and I'll leave the supplies in the list below the video. And if you have subscribed, thank you. And if you haven't, help me out and please do so. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye for now.